Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at WOJAK. Technically, this is the first time we're looking at this 269. It's a request from one of my community members. I believe it was Kush that had asked for this, and happy to help out, right? So go ahead, again, push it out to your community or whatnot. Let us know what your thoughts are there. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick look at some important details here, of course, and really just make sure we understand best practice and make a picture along the way. And just quickly note, I can kind of see this here just by looking, there is a support and resistance zone here we want to be mindful of. We're reaching into that right now. We can close above this current level. I think it'd be a pretty good shape moving forward. But once more, it's a little premature. Just letting you know there is a support level there that was tested a few times. And of course, a resistance as well. So since this broke through so far tentatively, we can expect it likely to continue and potentially use that as a support level moving forward. So just something to kind of think about, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment here. And again, if you're new to the channel, thanks again for watching. Welcome to the channel. We got an awesome Discord. Be sure to check that out. We have a lot of fun over here. And, there's a lot of WOJAK fans here too. If you want to jump on over, both previous and this current one here as well that we're going to cover. So again, with WOJAK 2.69, we're going to go ahead and see what this looks like. So that said, let's take a quick look at the daily and kind of see if there's anything that's kind of stark realities here. We're not going to have tons of data based on some of these moving averages because they're all delayed specifically for certain time frames, right? So we got the 20-day estimate, of course. We're tentatively above that. That's a positive sign, but it's still a little premature. And with less data, you have a little bit less reliability on technical analysis. But we're going to look at some Fibonacci retracement and kind of see on the smaller time frames what might happen here next. There could be a pullback, but it just depends on where we're at, okay? That said, we can see RSI, we're up over 50. That's always a positive sign. Money flow index is increasing, so we're seeing a lot of money flowing into this coin. You can see that here with, obviously, this one candle here. Pretty strong volume candle there. We've also got a MACD convergence as well, kind of telling us we're on the right side of the tracks or trending towards that. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. We haven't officially converged, but it's looking like it wants to. Okay, that's a positive sign too. That said, we also want to take a look here at the 4-hour, kind of see what's going on. And this is where we see some bit of an overextension here. RSI is testing 70. Oftentimes you see rejection at 70 or it blasts straight through that. My anticipation is that it won't break through that level initially because oftentimes you have to kind of test that level a few times before you get in. We could see the beginning of somewhat of an ugly cup and handle pattern here forming as well. That's a possibility. But we do have a convergence on the MACD letting us know that we've converged and we're on the right side of the tracks there with this transitionary time frame. Again, the 4-hour time frame translates to the daily and so on. So with us seeing what we're seeing here, from a swing trader standpoint, this is a good time to consider entry. Obviously, hindsight is 2020. We should have got in a few hours ago. But at this point, it may be worth considering adding to your position or considering going long. But again, I hate to say that moving into a resistance level, you typically want to wait until the price action either rejects off of it or breaks through and comes back down to test it as a support. Okay, so to me right now, I wouldn't take entry personally, just being more of a conservative trader. I like to look for confirmation we don't have that. We do have confirmation we're reaching this resistance zone and that the money flow index is high and we've converged here so far. So we got mostly positive signs with some overextension as well. Speaking of overextension, let's take a look at this here. We're at a 4 on TD sequential. If you look at its history, this thing has a history of hitting 9s pretty consistently. So taking a look at this first example, very first run we go 4 4-hour candles, basically 16 hours in with no overextension. We get a nice little reset up to another 1 here. And we come on up all the way up to a 7, 8, 9, and it starts to come back down. Okay, so once you see a 9 on this or set like an 8 or 9, it's cause for concern, or at least just an example of running the opposite direction. So we saw a 9 here, overextended, comes down. Look, this comes down to an 8, comes back up, tries for a 6, and then we get this kind of range bound activity. Eventually comes down to a 9, and we get this overtime section here. We can also see here as well, we came down to another 9, and we hit ourselves a second overextension within that same 48-hour period. So what does this all mean? Well, to translate, this is pretty consistent in running in either direction and not stopping until it's done. Okay. Now, is it going to continue up to a 9 right now? We're going to see 20 more hours of continuation. I would say yes, that's probable if we can break through this resistance level. Speaking of resistance, let's take a look at the volume profile. We can kind of see there's a tremendous amount of volume down below here at about 857, right in that range. But it gets kind of sparse when it comes up here. So the second most amount of volume, if we were to look at that and exclude the previous past, we can see there's most amount of volume roughly here at about 1725. What that does for us, that tells us that if the price comes back down, we're going to probably see a bounce off that level. It probably shouldn't even come down that low because oftentimes you'll see the price action come back and retest the most recent high to use that as a new low. Okay? So again, we probably see something like this. So I'm going to set my alert here for somewhere in a range of about 1870, 1880, right in that range. And if the price comes back to that level, I'd feel comfortable or confident buying that dip. It would also give us a nice, sweet looking little cup and handle pattern that inevitably breaks out to the upside. Okay, so again, we got some good things forming here, but jumping in right now just seems a little sketch to me, and I don't love buying the top or shorting what I feel is a top, and it could continue running. It's hard to trust coins like this that do this kind of behavior, but the truth is it continues to overextend itself, and that's something you can kind of rely on. Let's take a look at the hour and kind of see if it's a similar scenario. You can see a lot of 9s here on the hourly too. Kind of see the neon here. We get an overextension here. We got one right about here as well, near the bottom. We're currently at a 6, got a little reset up to a 7, and we're at a 9 again here. Okay, so that being said, with it having a history of hitting a 9 and turning itself around, in most cases, minus this outlier here, statistically, we're more likely to pull back than we are to increase from this current situation here. Okay, again, this is the hourly. It becomes less reliable as you go lower in time frame based on patterns. But overextension, if you see an overextension on the hourly and also the 4 hour, that's cause for a turnaround. Right now we're at a 4 on the 4 hour, so we're 16 hours into this push, but we're also 9 hours into this continuation on the hourly. That kind of tells us that we're getting close to the top. That in combination with the RSI at 70 on the daily, or correction, I think it was a 4 hour, leads me to believe we could see this push. I wouldn't say fizzle out, but it should discontinue, and it would be less likely for it to break through this resistance zone based on a lot of factors here. Okay, so you do got to recognize there is somewhat of a fair value gap just above the price action, right? That could warrant an increase here, and the price action could literally come all the way up to, what about 2450, 2500? Better case scenario, best case, about 2600. So if you are the gambling type, you could wait and see if the price continues higher, reaches that extreme overextension, and then short your way down. Or you could wait for the price action to pull back, potentially hit a nice long somewhere in that range, about 1875. Okay. So again, a few different case scenarios here. Is there a guarantee it's going to go in either direction? It's hard to say. It is leaning more towards continuation, but we have a lot of key level resistances plus an overextension on smaller time frames telling us it could turn around. To me, I'd much rather wait and buy the dip instead of FOMOing in and regretting the price pulling back. But good news is, if the price does pull back, you have a strong likelihood of the price bouncing right here at that volume profile, about 1850. Okay, so again, 1850, I'd say 1850, 1875 is a good range to consider entry. But right now, I'd just be cautiously optimistic and make sure you pace yourself. Try not to get too ham. I think you know what that term means, of course. And make sure that you're cautious, right? Low leverage, low position sizing, if that's an option for you. Ultimately, make sure that you are you're using good risk tolerance. And those are all things I teach in my trading academy. So if you're not familiar with that, cryptocash.tech is a site where you can register. We have a summer sale right now. In fact, Kush is one of our premium members, and he's fantastic. We love actually engaging and learning different things. Cool stuff too, just so you know, we have our Premium Plus as well. We take some nice little scalp trades. Litecoin took 9% in 2 hours. Blur took 5 hours, 18%. And of course, my traditional swing trades too. You know, we take a little bit longer there, but those are nice little 5x trades. Bitcoin 17%, 12% here. Majority of the gains are higher, but right now Bitcoin's in such a range, it's difficult to find some really important outliers there. But this seems to be one of those. So again, good luck. Let me know how it goes. Comment below. Let me know how your trading day is going. And if you got some feedback, I'd love to hear it. We are available on Twitter, of course, Cash Trading, and obviously our Discord, that's all free, available too. And obviously if you want private videos, make sure you have access to some of our private stuff. That is also available on the site. Thanks again for watching. I hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.